We've received quite a bit of interest in my free to be workshop, so to that effect, beneath this video is a link that will give you a description for the workshop, and we've also included a special discount. So if that's something you would be interested in, I would invite you to click that link, and I hope that you would find the course to be quite beneficial. Through the years, as I've spoken with individuals who have had to deal with that strongly narcissistic person, there would be one very common word that would be used in describing that narcissist, and that would be the word tyrant. I would hear people say something like, I grew up in a tyrant's home, or I used to be married, or maybe I am currently married or living with someone who's just an absolute tyrant, or I work with a tyrant. I have a sibling who is a tyrant. And when we talk about someone who's a strong tyrant, we're talking about someone who, in a common vernacular, we would say that they're a control freak or they can be bullies. And by definition, we can say that a tyrant is someone who is unyielding in the way that they engage with you. They have a combination of anger and control and oppression, and they take it upon themselves as having a right to speak into your issues when in fact they really don't have that right. But they nonetheless think, well, because this is me, then I'm going to go ahead and push my agenda on you, whether you like it or not. And they can be finicky, they can be arbitrary in pressing their will. It's entitlement, but it's entitlement on steroids. It's an exaggerated way. It's like that tyrant would say, because this is me, and because I declare whatever needs to be, then that's enough. Enough said. You just do what I say you're supposed to do. Now, I'm going to give you a quick 10-point checklist about how we can discern whether a person's a tyrant. And by the way, this topic has so much material on it, I'm going to have a second video on it in just a few days. We're going to expand on this. But I'm going to give you a 10-point checklist, and then I'm going to break it down with you, okay? Now, if you want to know, is this a strong, unyielding tyrant that I have in front of me? Number one on my list is, these individuals will grab power and authority despite it being not legitimate. In other words, it's not their place to do so, it's unwanted, it's unneeded, but they're going to do it anyway. Number two, they don't have just a need for control, they have a need for absolute control. They want you to filter your life and your opinions through them. Number three on our list, we can say that there is a pervasive lack of reasoning with these individuals. If you say, well, I feel this or I think that, it's like, it's immaterial. I don't care. I'm not going to reason with you. Number four, the tyrant is someone who's driven by whims or the mood of the moment. If something strikes them and they don't like it, boom, here it comes, and you're going to get the full fury of their anger and control. Number five, with a tyrant, their intentions are cruel. They can be dehumanizing toward you, and it's intentional. Number six, these individuals, these tyrants, communicate by way of imperative. And when I say by imperative, have to, must, got to, very command-oriented, and that's their dominant theme, that's their dominant style of communication. In fact, I remember one man said, well, my father actually would say the words, I order you to do whatever. I mean, that's imperative. Number seven, tyrants are known as being oppressive and superimposing, and they can offer lots of insults and humiliation. Number eight, to the tyrant, differences become an invitation to a dominance contest. So if you differ from me, well, I'm going to let you know whose opinion is most, and it's not going to be you. You're going to be the designated loser. Number nine, these individuals are relentless, and they're overwhelmingly narrow in focus. In other words, they won't let something go. And then number 10, and this is an interesting one, ultimately the tyrant is someone who has a loner's mindset. And by that I mean they'll think, you need me, but I don't need you, and they don't really like to connect. Now, you can see through this little 10-point checklist that there are so many issues that tyrant is not coming to terms with on the inside of themselves. What's happening there? What do they bring to the equation? Because this is so important for you to know as you're trying to come to terms with them. First and foremost, let's understand that with that tyrant, heart connections are completely missing. The bottom line is you're a transaction. This is not a relationship. And in addition, we can say, of course, with that lack of a heart connection, empathy is pretty close to 100% meaningless. They don't care about knowing you from the backstory. Why would I need to know you? You just need to know what I say, period, end of discussion. In addition, we can say that these individuals have become defined by their anger. Something happened in their early years that prompted them to think, the only way I'm going to get around in this world is to let my anger known, and that's how I have influence. And if I'm going to be a somebody, it's going to be because my anger intimidates people, and I kind of like being that way. They're very driven by their anger. Anger is their defining emotion. Now, having said that, the anger itself is born out of fear. These individuals have a type of paranoia. It's like, you're out to get me, aren't you? And I'm not going to let that happen. You want to shame me, you want to judge me, you want to tell me I'm wrong. That's not going to happen. But they fear being dominated by other individuals. They fear being overpowered by others. And so they've developed the philosophy that says, well, what I'll do is I'll be the one that just has such a loud bullhorn, or I'll have a stubbornness that nobody can break through on. I'll show you. But it's important for you to realize it's all fear-based. They don't trust people. They have a great deal of pessimism that leads the way. Now, that being the case, we can say that these individuals in their tyrants, strong-willed kind of mindset are in a strong compensation mode. They themselves fear being dominated, and they have probably felt bullied and belittled. And so it's instead of saying, we need to do something different like that. No, what they're doing is they're saying, well, now it's my turn. And I'm going to compensate for the many times that I've been insulted or I felt rejected, and I'm going to come on even stronger than what was given to me. And most of them have a really strong background of having been diminished and insulted themselves. Now, that being the case, power and control is far more important to them than character development. It's like, well, as long as I'm in control, life's good. Whereas healthy individuals, it's like, well, what does a good character look like? And what does it mean to have love and goodness and kindness and all of that? The tyrant is like, I don't need that kind of thing. In their minds, being right is the ultimate sign that says you are a somebody. And that means that they don't need to tune into your emotions. They don't look at nuance. They don't examine complexities. All they think of is, well, I've determined what correct and incorrect is. Enough said. And all the wide variety of human thoughts and feelings and expressions, as far as a tyrant is concerned, it's unnecessary unless it lines up with who I am. And you can see that it's in the ultimate selfishness that they're operating with. And it's pitiable when you look at that. At the base of their tyrant mentality is a very anxious and uptight kind of person. These people do not have peace. They don't know what contentment is. In their mind, contentment is when I can make you shut up and do what I say. And of course, that has nothing to do with contentment. As far as they're concerned, you're going to screw me over. And as a result, they're tense and uptight until they can get you intimidated into some sort of deference toward them or compliance. And they're defined by their own hypervigilance. What are you going to do to me next? Did you mean this? And as a result, they can be very jumpy and their mood can change on a whim. That's pretty pitiable, isn't it? That a person would think, that's the way that I'm going to live. But and based on my conversations with many individuals, some folks think, yeah, that's exactly how I'm going to live. Now, I mentioned just a moment ago, it's going to be so important for you as you understand what's going on with this tyrant kind of personality, that you're not in a relationship with this person. It's simply a transaction. That person cannot nor will they ever be able to examine your interior. And so build that that understanding into your engagement with them. And it's kind of sad for me to say this, but you'll probably need to have a healthy fear of them. And by that I mean know that if you come against them too strong, tyrants are known for saying, well, if you come against me, I am going to so make you pay, and I'm going to make you sorry that you ever agreed with or disagreed with me. And they can be miserable to live with. Factor that in. Now, in other words, you don't need to argue with them or go into any kind of debate, because you will lose. Instead, when you realize that you're dealing with a tyrant, you want to go ahead and set up a lifestyle of independence that's defined by you. And by independence, what I mean is you want to remind yourself, they want to take away my freedom to choose, but the bottom line is I have the freedom to choose. You don't need to apologize about who you are when you're in the presence of that person. This person needs to be removed from your presence. They need to be removed from your panel of advisors, if you will, as you understand that's all you're dealing with and nothing more. Now, it's terribly sad to think that someone would ultimately take on this tyrant's, this stubborn, this unyielding mindset toward you. But you know that they're out there, and there's way too many of them. Percentage-wise, they're probably at least 30%, 40% of the population that can operate with this kind of mindset. They're drawn to that, and they're drawn to themes of power and dominance. And basically, in their mind, if they could summarize, of course, they're not that insightful, but if they could summarize who they are, they would say, I am an impossibly desperate person who will destroy anyone who refuses to prop up my very fragile ego. My response to that is, that's exactly why I can't afford to be near you. This is not sustainable. Now, I hope that this gives you some insight into what you're dealing with and what you're up against. Like I say, I'm going to have another video coming up very soon that's going to give you a little bit more insight on this. I truly want you to have your own separateness and your own sense of independence. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so, because we're going to keep more videos coming to you. I want you to learn and feel like you're educated. Likewise, if you have a need for therapy, and so many times when you're dealing with something like this, that could be most useful. You know that I've been sponsored by the people at BetterHelp.com. I get good feedback from individuals who have sought out that service. There's a link below the video here that will take you to their website. Please, if the need is there, get the assistance you need, because one of the things that tends to happen is the tyrants want to take away your sense of self-esteem and understanding, and the therapy can certainly help you sift that out. In addition, I have my courses. It's like signing up for an online class. The classes are very extensive, with at least 25 videos per class, with written materials with each video, along with guided questions. I have Ready, Set, Connect, about having good connections. Also, This Is Me, about establishing those necessary boundaries. Free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers in your life. And then in addition, I have my webinars, which are of a very different nature, and they're more brief, but they're very impactful, and they've been very popular, along with, this is on my website, along with access to our podcast, many articles, and my book, so lots of resources. Now, the reason I talk about topics like this is I'm hoping that you can decide, I want to be better, I can do better, and I'm committed to going in a very different direction. The more you understand what you're up against and the pathology that's associated with it, I'm hoping it, just as opposed to just complaining about it, it gives you that resolve that says, I'm going to stand for dignity, respect, and civility. That's what we do here on Team Healthy. That being the case, I hope it sets you up to be the person of peace that unyielding tyrant narcissist is not able to find. I hope you can find your peace.